All right, class. In this YouTube how-to lecture, we're going to talk about that essay, what you got coming up, okay? So this is for 1302. Remember, your essay is, who do you think is the greatest president of the 20th century? This is very important, guys. I've got a lot of Abraham Lincoln papers. Abraham Lincoln's in the 19th century. I've got a lot of Barack Obama papers. Barack Obama's in the 21st. I've got Donald Trump papers. He's in the 21st. This is the 20th century. It starts down here. We're going to see if we can show them, guys. It will start with this guy right here, Theodore Roosevelt. He goes all the way to Bill Clinton. So it starts in 1901, ends in 2001. Okay? That's very important. So now let's talk about this. Remember, guys, your paper is worth 100 points. It's got to be 4 pages, 4 complete pages, plus a works cited page. That means it's got to be 5 pages minimum. That is the minimum. Remember, guys, it is 12 font. Do not play around with font. Students like to get to the end and they don't have enough. They haven't written enough, so they go to a 24 or 36 font. Do not do that. Remember, the paper has to be double spaced through the body, with the exception of the title is single space. Remember, guys, I put example papers on Canvas. Please, please, please look at those example papers, okay? This is why I said that, remember, this will all be single space, okay? Everything else will be double space. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to really pay attention to this part if you haven't anything else. You have to have 8 cited sources for this paper, guys. 8. 2 sources can come from the internet. Now, guys, always point out, be careful what you fish out of the internet. Now, when I say that, fishing, think about it. You go fishing at a pond, for you fishermen and fisherwomen out there, you put your little hook and get your bobber and you put your worm on there and you cast it out in the pond. You may catch you a real pretty bass, okay? Or you may drag up an old, dirty, muddy boot that's got dirt and sludge. It's been on the bottom of this pond for years. The same thing's with the internet, guys. When you go in there, the internet is a great resource, but it's got a lot of trash in it. Be careful what you get. I will tell you right now, for this paper, if you want to be very careful and not pull up anything that's a trash article, every one of these guys, they were presidents, and therefore they have presidential libraries that are usually associated with universities, and within that presidential library, you will have tons of good sources to use. So remember, look for presidential libraries, and that will give you good sources. Now, let's talk about here. 2 sources have to be from the internet. 2 sources have to be primary sources. What is a primary source? It's anything they wrote. Guys, these men were presidents. They wrote tons of stuff. Theodore Roosevelt wrote volumes of stuff. He's only one guy, but there is lots and lots of stuff out there. Okay, 3 sources have to come from books, text, historical base. Yes, you will have to access a book, maybe go to a library. But here's a common question that students ask, and it's a good question. Mr. Offer, can I get an online book? Yes, you can. It's a book, it's online, and it is actually a good source. So you can go online to access books. Now, look at this, guys. One source has to come from lecture DVD. Lecture, that is what I have given all these PowerPoints. Guys, I have tried to do 1 PowerPoint per president, okay? And I will try to give you access to those PowerPoints, although they're built into your attendance quizzes. And most of you guys that know how to get into YouTube know once you get into an account, you can go through all the videos that are in that account. Everything I have is accessible to the public, so my students get it. So I would really encourage you to do that. It's got to be Chicago style, Chicago footnotes. Now, the last thing before we conclude this, I'm going to mention something to you. What I would suggest doing, if you haven't already started your paper, be very open minded, I would listen to the different YouTubes to figure out who you like. These guys are vastly different, guys. All these presidents are different. Some of them will be, they don't have any morals whatsoever. They got girlfriends and everything else and extramarital affairs. Other of these guys will be very moralist. Depends on what you're looking at, okay? A lot of people will tell you a leader, maybe he needs to be a moralist, maybe he doesn't. That's a whole different subject we don't have enough time to talk about. But I want you to look at all of them and make your mind up, okay? So you can kind of go through these different YouTubes. You'll find one. Depends on, like I said, some of these guys are a bag full of surprises. Your civil rights guy is Lyndon Baines Johnson, of all people. The long, lanky, crude Texan is the guy that brings civil rights in. JFK, man, he's a really interesting guy. FDR, man, he is your president during the Great Depression, the war. Ronald Reagan's your Cold War president. Harry Truman's your atomic bomb guy. Dwight D. Eisenhower, 8 years of peace. I mean, all of them bring a little something to the table. Bill Clinton brings out a lot of stuff. FMLA will come out of Bill Clinton's administration. The Family Medical Leave Act. Okay, guys? So just remember, it goes from Theodore Roosevelt to Bill Clinton. Okay? And also, one last warning. If you do a Roosevelt paper, and I get a lot of Roosevelt papers, you do a Theodore Roosevelt paper, don't get him confused with Franklin Delano Roosevelt. You got two presidents that were both named Roosevelt. They're very popular presidents. So, guys, this will end this lecture, and hopefully I've given you everything, and you also watch those YouTube lectures.